What's going on, guys? MMA Outlaw back here with another video, and today we're going to be breaking down every single UFC champion and ranking them by their difficulty to be dethroned. And so you see every single UFC champion on the right-hand side of the screen in little characters, and you see the tier list behind me. And so let's waste no time, starting at the top of the list with Joshua Van. And let's see, where do we have Joshua Van? And you guys may remember, Joshua Van has had very, very competitive performances with guys like Edgar Chairez. We remember him losing to Charles Johnson, a very, very close split decision win against Brandon Royval, but a great, absolutely stunning performance against Royval that really catapulted him into that title shot. One of the best 3-round fights we have ever seen, and an unfortunate way to win the title against Pantoja breaking his arm, right? We all remember that. And so where does Joshua Van rank on the tier list? Let's say Joshua Van, you are going into E tier. You are the easiest champion to defeat. And let's just explain why, right? Joshua Van, yes, very, very talented fighter, very, very talented champion, but he's a striker and he's a boxer and he's quite limited, especially physically within the division. And I believe if Pantoja ran that fight back, we would probably see Van win. I think Van has a very, very interesting fight with Tatsuro Taira coming up May 9th in Newark, New Jersey. That fight is going to be an absolute scrap. That one's going to be a banger. And I'm really, really curious to see who's going to win that fight. But again, just for example, like Tatsuro Taira in that fight is minus 220. And so we have many, many fighters. I believe there's about 4 fighters within the division that I would favor to beat someone like Joshua Van. But Joshua Van, nonetheless, has very, very crisp boxing, rips the body very well, has great cardio, really builds into some of these fights. And so I do think we could see Joshua Van have a bit more success than people are willing to give him at this moment. But nonetheless, Joshua Van heads into E tier. And so moving onward, we got the bantamweight champion, Petr Yan. Petr Yan is a very, very talented fighter. And so where are we going to have him? Is he going to be in B tier? Is he going to be in C tier? Is he going to be all the way up here in A tier? No, we're going to have Petr Yan in C tier. And so Petr Yan is a very, very talented fighter, right? Probably one of the more talented guys on the roster. Some of the better actual stuff that we've seen, so to speak, from Petr Yan. A whole lot of talent. We see a great ground game, incredible trips. We saw it in the Sean O'Malley fight. We saw his gas tank in that Merab fight. A very, very complete fighter. But we have seen Petr Yan lose to many guys, right? Petr Yan losing in that first Merab fight. Petr Yan losing by split decision. I remember that Sean O'Malley fight, but I did actually have Sean O'Malley winning that fight. And I do believe some of these longer strikers who have good cardio could give a guy like Petr Yan a bit of trouble. But man, he's so he's so talented. I'm actually moving him up to B tier. I'm actually moving Petr Yan up to B tier because I really, really like Petr Yan's stuff. I really, really believe that his talent is up there with some of the best guys in the world. And so I really don't think there are many guys on the planet who could beat this guy. I think Merab is one of them. I think O'Malley is just a horrible matchup for a guy like Petr Yan. But when we're thinking about the top contenders at bantamweight, Merab, Umar is going to give him a lot of trouble. And so that's where I really think a guy like Umar might be able to beat a Petr Yan. A guy like O'Malley, on the right night could beat a Yan. A guy like Merab on the right night could beat a Yan. But I think a lot of things have to go right for some of those guys to beat a Petr Yan, and that's exactly why he's in B tier. He's not quite in the upper echelon of A or S tier, but nonetheless, Petr Yan in B tier. And so I'm going to make Petr Yan's little body just a little bit smaller. But moving onward, we have the featherweight champion of the world, Alexander the Great Volkanovski, or as some may call him, Chef Volk. Where is Chef Volk going to end up on these rankings? And we've seen Volkanovski has only really lost to a guy on this list two guys on this list, Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria. But if it says something about Volk, man, Volk went up to 155 and fought the guy who is now the 170 champion, the guy who's now the 155-pound champion. Ilia Topuria, El Matador, has beaten absolutely everyone, the who's who of the bantamweight and not bantamweight, of the featherweight and lightweight division. And so the featherweight GOAT, Alexander Volkanovski, is going to find himself in A tier. Volk is a very, very difficult fighter. We're going to shrink Volk just a little bit. Volk is a very difficult fighter to defeat. We've really only seen the best guys in the world do it, and I think that's foreshadowing for where some of these other guys may be on this list. But Alexander the Great Volkanovski absolutely puts a whooping on people. That win that we saw against Diego Lopez, incredibly impressive, right? Diego Lopez had the opportunity to be in there with Volk, had a few big moments in their first fight. Volk looked even better in the second fight, pitching an absolute shutout. Alexander Volkanovski, I really don't believe that there's anyone within this division who could take Volk out. Maybe a guy who has really high finishing upside, maybe a Gene Silva, but I really don't think so. I think Movsar Evloev gets dog-walked by Alexander Volkanovski. I think Lerone Murphy gets dog-walked by Alexander Volkanovski. I think Gene Silva gets dog-walked by Alexander Volkanovski. And so there's really not a guy in the featherweight division who I would even give a really good shot to beat Alexander the Great. And so Alexander Volkanovski moves himself into A tier. And the only reason he's in A tier is because there's a few guys on this list, and this is El Matador. Ilia Topuria is finding himself in S tier. And you all know why Ilia Topuria is in S tier, right? Guys, Ilia beating everyone. And he doesn't just beat guys, he flatlines people. We all remember that Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway fight. Absolutely disposed of Max Holloway. We all remember that Ilia Topuria Alexander Volkanovski fight. Volk looked great in that first round, but Ilia Topuria backed him up against the cage and absolutely decimated him. Just flatlined him, sent him to the shadow realm in a fight that was absolutely diabolical. And the matchup that's really eluded us here in the UFC is that Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria fight. And so, man, I hope we get to see Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria is going to absolutely dispose of Justin Gaethje. I mean, Arman Tsarukyan could put up a solid fight against Ilia Topuria, but Arman Tsarukyan almost lost to Charles Oliveira, who got absolutely worked by Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria has beaten absolutely everyone in the featherweight and lightweight division other than Arman Tsarukyan. And so love to see Ilia Topuria against Islam Makhachev. Honestly, would really like to see Ilia Topuria versus Arman instead of this freaking Justin Gaethje fight, because we all know Ilia Topuria is just going to KO Justin Gaethje out cold, I'm saying. And so it'll be nice to see that on the White House, but Ilia Topuria finds himself in S tier from his amazing performances. And so the guy that has eluded Ilia Topuria, Islam Makhachev, is going right next to him in S tier. Man, Islam Makhachev, another guy who has beaten absolutely everyone. We remember a dominant title win over Charles Oliveira. We remember a dominant win over Renato Moicano. And I know that's not the most impressive win, but Arman Tsarukyan, that was your chance. And I would have loved to see that Arman versus Islam fight. But nonetheless, Islam Makhachev went up to 170, absolutely disposed of the champion, Jack Della Maddalena. I don't really foresee anyone at 170 giving Islam Makhachev any real problems. 155, right? We've just seen him dispose of everyone. We've seen him dispose of a Poirier. Did he dispose of a Gaethje? I can't even remember, because these old heads have been around the lightweight division for so long. But Islam Makhachev, man, he really is one of the best fighters we have ever seen. And so you see those two in S tier next to each other. UFC, if you're listening to me, we need to make that fight. That fight is absolute cinema. Give me Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. I don't care what weight class. I don't care where in the world. UFC, just make it happen. And so, moving onward, Khamzat Chimaev, the middleweight champion of the world. Where does he belong? And this may be an unpopular take. it may be an unpopular take, but Khamzat Chimaev, the dominance that he has shown, he's going in S tier. He's going in S tier. And let me tell you why, guys. Let me tell you why. Because Khamzat Chimaev, I know people are going to, well, he had a really competitive fight with Gilbert Durinho Burns. That was at 170. Chimaev was draining himself to make weight. Chimaev really learned from that performance. What we've seen from Khamzat Chimaev, an absolutely dominant performance over Dricus du Plessis. We've seen Chimaev just absolutely dispose of every single person in his way. And if you guys check out UFCSavant.com, this is, man, I don't have it cropped totally right, but career TSR. TSR is a true skill rating. Khamzat Chimaev is second, right behind Islam Makhachev in a TSR rating. That is an advanced analytics stat. Sorry, guys, oh, nope, that's the thumbnail. Keep it moving here, guys. I'm sorry. That statistic is a data analysis advanced analytics stat on UFCSavant.com. Check it out, guys. That's the website that I'm in the process of building. If it's down at the time, that just means I'm working on it. But his career TSR, his true skill rating is up there with the best in the world, and that's because of the dominance that he has displayed in all of his fights. TSR is an advanced stat that calculates different statistics from like your significant strike differential, from your control time, from your takedown accuracy, from all of these statistics that you could possibly imagine that happen in a fight. It computes a true skill rating, and Islam Makhachev and Khamzat Chimaev are 1 and 2 in that, and there's a reason that these two guys find themselves in S tier. And so Khamzat Chimaev, S tier, absolutely dominant. I think we're going to see him dispose of Sean Strickland very easily, to be quite honest. And I know that's kind of annoying to say. I want my boy Sean Strickland to have a good fight in there, but I really do believe Chimaev is going to dog walk him. And so, moving onward, Carlos Black Jag Olberg. We saw him just KO Yuri Prohaska on one leg. We've seen him with absolutely insane KOs over guys like Alonzo Menefield. An incredible counterpuncher is a Carlos Olberg, but he hasn't really fought all the best guys at light heavyweight. And so I really do believe some guys like Magomed Ankalaev could really, present a difficult challenge. If Alex Poatan Pereira was still at 205, I believe he would present an incredibly difficult challenge. I do believe anyone with really strong grappling, like a Khamzat Chimaev, if he moved up to 205, could present a lot of challenges. And so Carlos the Black Jag Olberg, going to have to shrink him a little bit, but we're finding him in D tier because there are many guys in the UFC who I would probably favor over Carlos the Black Jag Olberg. But I believe, unlike, like a Joshua Van, I believe like a Carlos Olberg, he could very well beat a Magomed Ankalaev. Like, he could clip a Magomed Ankalaev. He's a very, very talented counter puncher. But Carlos the Black Jag Olberg, he had really competitive fights with guys like Jan Blachowicz. And it's not that Jan Blachowicz is a bad fighter. It's just that if you're a really, really, really elite guy who's like impossible to dethrone, you probably dispose of a 41 or 42-year-old Jan Blachowicz just at the time. And so a great decision win by Carlos Olberg. Not trying to take anything away from him. Absolutely wonderful performance by Carlos Olberg. Yuri Prohaska matchup is probably the perfect matchup in the UFC for a guy like Carlos Olberg. And so give me Carlos the Black Jag Olberg. And now, moving on, my boy. You can't even call me biased here. The boy, Tom Aspinall. Move him straight to S tier. I'm not going to hear any arguments. Tom Aspinall is one of the best fighters we have ever seen. One of the most complete fighters in the heavyweight division. He has the speed. He has the power. He has the takedowns. He has the jiu-jitsu. We saw him put a key lock on Marcin Tybura? Absolutely disgusting. Diabolical win. We've seen him spark guys out cold, spark Curtis Blades out cold, spark Sergey Pavlovich out cold to win the interim title. John Jones is single-handedly running away from Tom Aspinall. I do believe Alex Poatan Pereira, you would get slimed out by Aspinall. I do believe Cyril Gane, even if we saw that fight go longer, you would have gotten slimed out by Aspinall. Instead, we saw Cyril Gane gouge Tom Aspinall's eyes out in an incredibly frustrating UFC light heavyweight, or not UFC heavyweight title bout. And I do believe whoever wins that fight, Pereira or Cyril Gane, you guys are in some serious trouble fighting Tom Aspinall, the most talented heavyweight fighter we have ever seen. We have ever seen. More talented than a DC, more talented than an Ngannou, more talented than a Jones at heavyweight. Tom Aspinall, the boy, belongs in S tier. And so, moving onward, the women's strawweight champion, Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern. Where does Mackenzie Dern belong? You know where she belongs. In E tier. In E tier, right next to the boy Joshua Van. And I don't want to take anything away from Mackenzie Dern. An absolutely wonderful title win over, who is that, Verna Jandiroba. But I do believe there are many fighters, many fighters within the UFC, within the strawweight division, that could potentially give her trouble. I do believe if Zhang Wei Li went down to strawweight, if she elected to do that, she would absolutely dispose of Mackenzie Dern. I do believe that there are some contenders that are going to be coming up here at strawweight that will put a very good fight up against Mackenzie Dern. The issue that I have with Dern is when she strikes, that chin is high in the sky. She's like, oh, well, Mackenzie Dern, she's a marauder. God damn it, guys. Shut up. Shut up, dude. She strikes with her chin straight in the air. You know, I'm a fan of Mackenzie Dern. She puts on some of the more entertaining fights in the women's divisions, but I can't do it. I can't do it. Give me Mackenzie Dern at E tier, which for us is essentially F tier. And so, moving onward, Valentina Shevchenko. Where is Valentina gonna be? And yes, guys, I know, we got to put Valentina at S tier. I know she lost to Alexa Grasso, but I'm going to say it. I think that was one of the luckiest wins we have ever seen. Alexa Grasso got absolutely dominated by Shevchenko in the rematch. Shevchenko has absolutely elite grappling, elite skills on the feet. We saw Shevchenko dominate Zhang Wei Li, who I thought would be her stiffest competition. A very good performance by Valentina Shevchenko. And I just don't really know if there is a women's flyweight in the world who could beat Valentina Shevchenko. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So that moves us to Kayla Harrison. And I'm not just putting her in C tier because she's the only fighter that we have left and C tier is empty. I'm putting her in C tier because that's where she belongs. I know what you're going to say. Oh, well, Kayla Harrison is so dominant on the ground. And let's be real, Kayla Harrison gets slimed out by anyone who has some very good striking. We saw Kayla Harrison lose to Larissa Pacheco in the PFL. In the PFL, absolutely. And the only reason that this happened is Larissa Pacheco has some solid ground skills, and she has very strong grappling, like a strong grappling base. And I know Kayla Harrison, she hurt her neck. She's got to take her time to recover because let's just say the Lioness, the queen of the division, is coming back. Amanda Nunes would absolutely slime out Kayla Harrison. Prime Amanda Nunes is disposing of Kayla Harrison. I know you're, Kayla Harrison has the best judo in the world. Well, guess what? I don't give a shit. She cannot strike. She can't. She has no power in the hands. If Kayla Harrison runs into anyone who is able to prevent her from taking them to the ground, she is in some real trouble. And I believe that Amanda Nunes is that trouble for her. I believe that Amanda Nunes will slime out Kayla Harrison. And if she doesn't, I really do believe that there's some women within these divisions that will be able to beat Kayla Harrison. We've seen it happen before. I think it can happen again. And I think that's the hottest take of the list, is that Kayla Harrison is in C tier. And so this was ranking every current champion by their difficulty to dethrone. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. What did I mess up? What do you agree with? Who do you think is egregiously low? I know some Joshua Van lovers are not going to love that Joshua Van's in E tier. I'm curious what you guys think about Kayla Harrison in C tier and what you guys think about my S tier. I know I'm going to have some Aspinall haters, but I don't care. Tommy Aspinall, Tommy Aspinall. Nah, 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 nah. Tommy Aspinall is the freaking boy. And so that's all from me today. Again, let me know what you guys think about the tier list, the rankings in the comments section. And if you enjoy content just like this, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you are new here. And so that's all from me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.